Yo, have you heard about Anchor? It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Welcome, everyone, to the L7C podcast. Today, we are going to be giving a very basic guide to anime, and to help us do that, we got L7C member Mr. Cedric Ware with us. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing well. How's it going?
Doing well, man. It's been a while since we've been able to have you on the podcast. We haven't had you since the Power Ranger episode.
Yeah. I know only a little bit of random stuff, so just happy to be here.
Hey, but something you do know, you definitely know a lot more than me about, is anime. So first thing I want to ask is, what is anime and what got you into anime?
Okay, I mean, anime is essentially been dubbed in Japan, and other countries have been picking it up as animated illustrations, whether it be hand drawn or by computer generated. We would probably the closest thing that we've created is probably like cartoons. A lot of people like to think of them as cartoons. I think there's a little difference in that, but that's kind of what anime is. This animated illustration, hand drawn or computer generated. Honestly, my brother is probably what got me into anime. He was a really big like Dragon Ball Z fan, so that was like my first introduction into anime. Just watching those. I know him and his friend 40 when they had their own place, I would go over there, like skip after Sunday school, walk down to his apartment. They were like, "Man, we're watching Dragon Ball Z here. We got like the Cell games going on." And his roommate 40 was like, "I got all the seasons right now, so let me know if you want to pick up from the very beginning." And that's kind of what got me into it. Just as I grew up, starting to see like more and more things come out, especially like on Toonami with like other shows that were like similar. Because I was like, "Oh man, this is better than Bugs Bunny," and I'm like, "These guys got powers; they fly around and stuff. I like this."
No, I mean, I agree. That's how I got into anime. I'm coming home from school and was going to Cartoon Network, and then they had that 5 to 7 slot of Toonami, and I'm like, "Oh, what is this?" And just seeing, I'm like, "Oh, I mean, like you said, it's a lot better than Bugs Bunny. These super strong people just going at it." And I was just like, okay. And Dragon Ball Z was the first one, and then since then, I've been a big anime fan. I've gotten hooked. I've been trying to dive into different ones out there throughout the years, and I love it. You brought up cartoons, so what's the difference between anime and cartoons in your opinion?
So for me, normally it's just the source base. I mean, typically a great amount of anime. Frequently, most comics from manga, which is written work in Japan. What they typically staple as their like comic series over there, or light novels, any type of like storyline based, adapted into animation. I feel like here a lot of like cartoons, or literally like as they are. I mean, there are some cartoons you have like Marvel Heroes and Legends and stuff like that. Like let's see, like cartoons based on like Spider-Man, Batman, Superman. That are based off of comic series, but I don't know if they. Personally, I'm not an expert in those, but I would say I don't know if they so clearly follow the manga or the comic series as their source base. I mean, with anime, typically the hopes and dreams is that it follows the manga. As there are anime that do not follow the manga, and also there are some anime that are based off video games that were released as well. So I guess for me, it comes from like the difference in the source material that it can come from a variety of different things. The illustrations I feel are a little bit different than you'll see in like cartoons. I feel like there's a lot more detail in anime that you see that differs from cartoons, like from even like just the back drawn like neighborhood or cityscapes, stuff like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with like the contrast. Like when I watch anime, it just looks more intense. Like the drawings and cartoons just look like they're having fun. I guess when I think of cartoons, I just think of the Rugrats, and
Yeah,
then when I think of anime, I think of Naruto. So,
absolutely.
so those are two completely different shows. And sometimes I feel like animes are more serious and have a lot more life lessons than cartoons. Do you agree with that? Do you see that?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like cartoons, a lot of the drawings and a lot of the storylines is just like here for just solely comedy. Like,
Mhm.
sure, there may be like a hidden nugget of treasure or like of information in there that's like a life lesson. But I mean, normally, I guess the common just you see is like friendship or like being kind to others, being nice, even though you may be the blunt end of the joke. I feel like with anime, it covers a whole host of like feelings and emotions and relations on how you deal with those feelings and emotions. I feel like anime definitely delves more into like the human experience and even more so than what you may be willing to engage in society. They'll hammer home on a lot of like things that like people may think about but won't openly say.
Mhm. No, I agree. I agree. And then you brought up manga and comic books. So I know with comic books, because I read both. I read mangas and I read comic books. And the biggest thing to me with manga and comic books is like a manga, Naruto, Goku, Luffy, you see them progress in strength throughout a manga. But in comic books, their strength is basically set. Yeah, like Iron Man get a new suit for an issue, but it's not something that like continues with them, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, I feel like with manga, it's more of an overall larger story. Like,
Yes.
like comic books, I feel like it's like this is the issue. This is person A versus person B. We're solely talking about this. Done. We'll end that story right then and there. They may have multiple issues that go into the storyline and art, but I feel
Mm-hmm.
like manga overall, its goal is to connect plot wise every single issue, every single, I guess, make that it has chronologically throughout. Where comic books sometimes delves into different universes, delves into different scenarios, and that's how I guess you know this more than me. That's like I guess like superheroes that we see in comic books have a branch out of different abilities. And I guess the argument comes with like, oh, are we talking about like this version of the superhero or this universe version of the superhero? Because some things happen here that leads us to believe that they're stronger than what they originally start with. Where manga is literally just like you start with a character and you develop them throughout in their abilities, personality, and everything like that.
Oh yeah, definitely, especially with the comic books, because let's just say a Superman comic can be written by like eight different writers, and they each have their own different interpretation of that character. Let's just say like Dragon Ball, that's all Toriyama.
Yep.
That's one guy. He might have his assistants, but you know the buck stops with him. With Superman, one person like, oh, I'm going to write 6 issues about him, and then someone else writes 20 issues about him, and they'll have different stories, and it doesn't connect. So you're right with the manga having usually one person who creates everything and might have like some assistants. With anime, there's different categories of anime. I personally didn't know this until a couple years ago when someone was talking about shonen and shojo. I only thought there was just anime, but there's like I think five different types. Correct me if I'm wrong.
There's a lot, I guess. So there's a lot of different types that are like known, but inside those, I guess, genres of anime, there's even further genres of anime. I mean, like, I guess the
Wow.
easiest way to tear it out is things that we commonly understand, like action, comedy, romance,
Mm-hmm.
like thrillers, horror, and stuff like that. Those are all their own category of genre itself. But I guess with anime, it points more to a demographic, like a targeted age group that this is presented for those individuals that who would be interested in the story, the characters, and how they develop. So like there's
Yeah.
definitely a difference between like Hello Kitty, which is technically anime,
Mm-hmm.
versus things like Shonen that's like Naruto, One Piece, Dragon Ball Z,
Yep.
Dragon Ball Super, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'm looking at it right now. Shonen, they talk about they're hitting the demographic of young men. So there's a lot of action, fan service. So it's Dragon Ball, like Bleach, Naruto, One Piece, things like you've already talked about. And then Seinen, I don't know if that's how you say
Sinning,
it.
sinning,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
like older men as well. I believe it's like still adulthood, but further out. I would say that's
Yeah.
where you still get like you still have some action, but you start to get like more plot, slow rising character development. Start hitting home with I guess like personal issues, mental health analysis, and stuff like that. I think you start seeing bigger themes of that. I would say like for me, I look at that category mostly because if you have good character development, good like morality questions, moral struggles, I don't know, it just feeds more to like keep the tension there. And that's what they kind of focus on. They still have like the good select fan service just to break because sometimes talking about heavy topics or showing heavy topics is overwhelming. So they may throw in like some comedy here and there, fan service here and there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And they gave examples like Berserk, Ghost in a Shell,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And then the other one was Shojo, which is the young woman version of Shonen.
Man,
They have one of the most popular animes I remember my childhood, Sailor
Sailor
Moon.
Moon. I mean, the cool part about that is, I guess we see it more so with Shonen is like character type, powers,
Mm-hmm.
like themes and stuff like that. You always have that one character that's like, oh, I'm for justice, friendship, honor, and all this stuff. And they progress throughout. And you see them like even maybe an underdog at first, but you see them get stronger and stronger. Somehow they always prevail. I would say with Sailor Moon really started to kick off like a thing called Magical Girls, which is like
Yeah.
you take like ordinary girls and give them magic powers to fight crime, all types of different versions that come on with that in place. And you see them develop through their selves, like a mature as they move through life, and maybe like a different, I guess, lens that we see that's different than like Shonen. But definitely like Sailor Moon was a trendsetter with that, and definitely before its time in that lens and genre of anime.
Right. And then the next one for like older women, Joshi. Is that how you
Oh,
say it
Josei,
correctly? Yeah, Josei. And that's more adult-ish thing. Is that like the female counterpart to?
Sinning.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. I personally, I'm not gonna lie, I am just learning about like Josei as its own thing. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot tell you more. I would imagine that it's similar in setting where you get to more intense problems or intense situations that I guess thicken the plot and really draws the watcher in. But I honestly, I can't think on the top of my head of one because normally when you look at like I guess the most anime streaming services like Crunchyroll, even Hulu, Netflix, stuff like that, you can go. I know back in the day I could go on like the Crunchyroll website on my computer and break down it by like genres, but I don't know if you can still do that on the current updated versions of it. So it's really hard to like see like what anime fits like cross genres to see if you've watched anything like Josei. Like that was one of the things I used to love to do with anime is seeing like where this anime is in different genres to see. Oh, so I have watched like a shonen, I have watched a seinen, I have watched like all different types like horror, action, adventure. Isekai is a really big thing right now, but
Okay.
we can get into that later, I guess. More of a It's the thing like you go to a different world, person gets kind of like OP like powers or a different type of adventure. It's a real common thing now.
Hmm. And then what's this one starting with the K for the kids? I see a cat picture when I typed it in. I'm like, what the heck is this?
Oh, Kodomomuke. I don't know if I'm pronouncing
Yeah,
that right, but yeah, that's like your like Hello Kitty type stuff, like children under the age of
it's
10, I believe, is what they're targeting the demographic. But like really
mhm.
early age kids, I guess that's how you would put like if we were going to correlate it with anything we have in America, like old school like Nick Jr. type of stuff, I
Oh,
guess, is like where you put like Blues Clues, like stuff like that, Bob the Builder, for like
mhm.
under like kids under 10. This is like that's their targeted demographic. So it's not so much on action and stuff like that. Like Peppa Pig. I know my niece, which is gonna love Peppa Pig. I would say like that's something that would like correlate in that genre.
Yeah, I'm not hip. I'm not hip to that one. Not at all. I saw that. I'm like, I didn't even know that existed. And then you said Hello Kitty, and I'm like, well, okay.
Like outside of Hello Kitty, I don't know what else is out there that would be considered anime. Like Hello Kitty is just like the biggest thing I've ever. I remember it being like crossing over to the U.S. It's like, oh, so this is a thing. And then as you get older, you're like, Hello Kitty was an anime? Huh. Would not have thought that, but hey, that just shows where they're at over there versus over here. We get a lot of their stuff a little bit late.
I don't know if you experienced this, but I know back in where I used to live, anime was a little bit sometimes frowned upon because people didn't realize how deep animes actually get with life. Did you ever see that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, normally because I mean, on its face, it looks like a cartoon. I mean, individuals who don't understand, I guess, or have not watched the full length of a show or full length of an episode to really see what goes on with the characters would think that like you're watching cartoons. And I mean, of course, like as you're younger, everyone's watching like Pokemon, right? Pokemon's an
Mm-hmm.
anime. As we were
Yep.
younger, everyone was fine watching Pokemon, Digimon, stuff like that. Like it
Mm-hmm.
was okay. But as you get older, individuals like what like you're still watching those cartoons like that you're not supposed to be watching. You're supposed to be watching like reality TV, MTV, BET was a big thing. Like coming up, like if you didn't watch 106 in Park, you didn't know what the
Six
top 10
Park.
was. Like you're
BT
you're
free.
essentially getting clowned like because you still
Mm.
watch cartoons. So absolutely, absolutely, I've seen that.
Yeah, which I don't understand too, because now in recent years, just like mega stars like Britney Spears or Kim Kardashian West, when their kids draw Goku or Kim Kardashian dyes her hair pink to say that she is Sakura, the world's like, oh my God, this stuff is so cool. And I'm like, where were y'all at all these years?
I think it's definitely like I mean I feel as though it's more like how celebrities or how openly expressed people are in the media. I mean, I guarantee you individuals back then were watching anime, but because it wasn't seen as, I guess, cool at the time, for lack of a better phrase, it wasn't popular. Individuals did not speak out to say, like, yeah, I watch anime. Yeah, like, you really didn't get to, like, see that. But I feel like now more people are like, yeah, of course I watch anime. Like, and it's becoming more popular for like celebrities to speak out, like, oh yeah, like because they've seen like characters, like yeah, like I feel similar to this character. I mean, there's artists out there who make songs, albums references off of like some anime stuff. I mean, there's
Mm-hmm.
wrestlers, like with WWE. I'm certain you and Jacob definitely have noticed this. There's wrestlers who have moves that are anime moves. Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I guess it
Yeah,
just
a lot of them have wrestling finishing moves named after anime characters' finishing moves now, like the Spirit Bomb, Final Flash, like the Sangon, things like that. And even bodybuilders and things like that, they're like, I'm training because I watched Goku when I was younger. And this made me want to be a bodybuilder. So it's like they've influenced the culture, just people aren't hip.
And I think that this definitely speaks volume to, I guess, like how we diversify our media and our influence, right? Like
Mhm.
you see, like athletes. I mean, like for example, when we were talking about comic books, comic superheroes versus anime. I mean, like it was more acceptable, right? Like you weren't going to get teased if you thought like Superman was awesome and amazing. He's the most powerful being ever. No one's like,
Mhm.
man, you talking about Superman, man? Still like, aren't you kind of big to be talking about Superman? It's like, no, I mean,
Right.
like athletes and stuff were nicknamed after superheroes. Like when we had the Flash,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
Transformers, yeah, Megatron, and it was like a thing. Like I guess, like I think you can see the needle starting to move further and further, and it's just amazing to see like how far it has come now.
So for people who are just trying to get into anime, how would you direct them? Like, is there a site where they can start watching anime? Is there anything that can help them? Like, what do you like? These are some animes that might fit your criteria.
I would say probably the easiest thing is like I would say just keep with like Hulu or Netflix
Okay.
because right now, I mean, I don't want individuals to have to go out there and have to like purchase another site, download another site. I mean, we're in the midst of a pandemic right now. You have some time, but money's not everything, right? But definitely
Right.
like start with the things you already have because I mean, especially nowadays, like definitely like Hulu and Netflix, I mean, have really increased the amount of anime they have on their services. And I would say Lily's walkthrough. Initially, when I first started watching anime, I was like, it's like I guess like how when you used to go to like to a video store out and you saw like a movie you didn't hear anything about, I look at the cover. Or the same
Hmm.
thing with like a book. It's like, does this look interesting or intriguing to me? I mean, it all depends on what you're there for. I would say they have broken down like normally with like search engines and because like Hulu and Netflix try to gear things towards what you've watched, what you've seen. They'll say like something like popular or classics. And then sometimes they may break it down from just like A to Z and you can just scroll through and kind of see if there's anything that catches your eye. I would say
Hmm.
that's the best way to probably start off with anime. I'm of the opinion that like if you're first like you've never watched anime before, it's your first time, try to find something that's small, like 12 episodes or so. Don't try to dedicate yourself. I mean, the classics are long. Like Dragon Ball Z has a ton of episodes. Naruto has a ton of episodes. One Piece is still making episodes.
Hmm.
If if you're just like trying to see if you like this stuff, I mean, I'm guarantee you won't be disappointed in it. But it's a lot to dedicate yourself to, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. Like I know we're in the age of like people love to binge watch things, but I'm talking like these shows have over 1,000 episodes. Like you're going to be
Right.
sitting down for a while. You may get tired of the same thing over and over again. I know I do sometimes. And I would say start off small, see kind of what you like, what you don't like, and guess go from there. But I would definitely start with like the services you already have, like Netflix or Hulu. And if you find yourself really enjoying anime and you want something more anime exclusive, definitely like Funimation has a good app and
Mhm.
Crunchyroll is an amazing app. I personally love Crunchyroll as well. There are definitely sites out there that can point you kind of like to it. There's YouTubers that talk about anime, a whole host of things. Like every now and then I go on YouTube and try to find, not necessarily try to find, but I see like on my suggested things, they have like the people that like mention like, oh, top 10, like anticipated anime to come out in this year, top 10 best fight scenes of this year. And you can literally into YouTube, that type of stuff, and you can get a sense of like what anime is out there, what's like current, what's new. Because I mean, I'm always open to looking for new stuff that I haven't seen. Because I mean, it's a different view on something, a view on certain types of like, I guess, overall things that some animes talk about. I like to see like different versions of it, different views of it.
That's good. And that's real good. Real good advice. Cedric, is there anything else you want to talk about anime wise? Any beginner tips? Anything else you want to hit on this initial guide to anime?
I guess beginner tips: don't be as critical on the consistency as far as like drawing. Like there's going to be moments in there for comedic purposes. Some of the drawing will change. where the characters' faces will change and the eyes. Like one of the favorite things is like the eyes, giant circles, and they're like just pure white, and or you have like little like strained eyes for like staring. Don't don't go into like seriously expecting everything to be the exact same. Some anime does have like surprise comedic moments, and as you start to watch more and more, you get used to the thing, and you start to like really notice like, oh wait, here they go, they're setting this person up for a joke. I said so like don't go in thinking like it's going to be the exact same animation, everything, every single time, every single episode. They will surprise you. There will be some episodes like known as filler episodes that have nothing to do with the actual overall plot, may not be canon in the manga, but it's just there to like give you a little bit of a break from like a story arc or a major story arc that's happened. So I said like just don't go in expecting it all to be consistently the exact same. These characters will grow, and they may surprise you, and that's the writer's intent to try to say like, hey, you thought so and so was going to be like this every episode. No, he's actually learning. So I said just prepare yourself to be surprised. Allow yourself to be surprised when you're watching it for the first time.
And you heard it from Cedric Ware. Well, Cedric, I really want to thank you for coming on and really giving the fans an initial guide to anime. Would love to have you back to actually critique some animes that we've watched. I know a big one that a lot of the group has watched is Naruto, and I've told the listeners that a Naruto episode is coming. So I'd love to have you on those type of things just to break down those animes, what was good, what was bad, what could be better, things like that.
Absolutely. I mean, I do enjoy a conversation about anime, especially I love Naruto. So I would be more than happy.
You're just going to have to make that happen. Just make sure everyone's schedules align. But that's really all I got. Again, thank you, Cedric, for coming on, talking some anime. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the L7C podcast. You guys have been showing us some great support. Continue to listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, obviously Anchor, YouTube, Radio Breaker, Overcast. Anywhere you can listen to a podcast, our podcast is there. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Just do the whole thing.
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me. You guys take care. And hey, keep supporting L7C.
Hey, as the man said, you heard him. Keep supporting L7C. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Later.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.